Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to this episode. Today I'm chatting with my new friend Alexis, who is the owner of UGlu Balloons, and she has created a program called Loons for Littles, where she does basically crowd-funded installations in Title I schools around her area. And the coolest thing is that she has put all of this together and is so willing to share because she wants to see you do this in your communities as well. She is all about spreading joy through balloons, and she has made it really easy to replicate this program in your area. So this was such a fun interview. I know you will find it inspiring. And there is a call to action in this episode if you want to get involved in the Loons for Littles program. So without further ado, let's take a break and head over to the UGlu Hotline for some great advice that sticks, and then get into this episode with Alexis. Welcome to the UGlu Hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi there, this is Jen from Central Illinois Balloon Decor. I'm about 2.5 hours south of Chicago. I wanted to call in with a little tip that my husband actually discovered, since he helps me sometimes with installs on the weekends whenever he can. We recently just got a 2015 Tahoe. Before we were using a Honda CR-V, and we have two littles. And so now with the Tahoe, we're able to fold down that third row. But I wanted to share one of the tips that we have figured out, since we do use a lot of framework for our installations, whether it be a hoop or like one of the narrow arches. So what we do is we do not disassemble the entire thing. We just break it apart basically in 2 to 4 pieces, whatever will fit with that third row down. And then we actually leave the screws about halfway in. That way we don't have to bag them up separately or risk losing them. So whenever we go to throw it in the back of the car, we put the screw exactly where it's supposed to go and screw it about halfway in, just so it's stable enough and tight enough to stay in there. That way you don't risk losing it, and you save time when you go to break down or set up. Also, we've noticed that sometimes having it that way, you don't put it together a wrong way. Because if anybody has ever done framework with a lot of different pieces, you may know that some bars or pieces don't fit as well if they're not in the correct spot. So, hope this tip helps. Thanks. Bye.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, UGlu, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on UGlu when you buy directly from Havin A Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome to this episode, Alexis. It is so nice to meet you, and I can't wait to chat about Loons for Littles, this program that you have started. Before we jump in, give us an introduction. Who are you? Where are you? And tell us about your business.
Well, hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me on here. My name is Alexis, and I am in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm a little Midwest balloon company. My company is called UGlu Balloons, and I started, this is my 3rd year. So I would say, still a little relatively newer to the balloon world, but it's been super fun. I am a mom of 3 little kids. So I have a 4.5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then an 18-month-old. So we're very busy in our household. And I started doing balloons after my son was born. We had moved to St. Louis. I didn't really know a lot of people yet. I'd always done balloons for my sisters. My sister has 4 boys. So we always did big parties for her kids' birthdays, and then my kids' birthdays. Once I started having my own kids, I started off doing balloons thinking like, oh, this is fun. And I realized how many people do it and told my husband, I think I'm just going to try this and let's just see how it goes. And St. Louis is an amazing community with like wonderful people, and it really took off. So I had two little kids when I started. I think my son was like almost two. They're 18 months apart, so very small. And then I was planning on not being pregnant for a couple of years, taking a break. And I think I started officially doing it in September and was pregnant with my third in December.
Okay.
So when I told my husband, I'm like, I just don't want this balloon business to die. We have to keep. He's like, we won't. It'll be fine. So I was very pregnant my first year doing balloons for a lot of people, and I have a lot. Luckily, I have a lot of repeat clients, and all of them always talk about like, remember the first time you ever did my balloons and you were 7 months pregnant or 9 months pregnant? Like, yeah, and looking back on it, that was probably a little scary for you guys, but you know how it goes. Being a mom, you just want to get out there and need a little break, and doing balloons was the best thing. So it's really fun.
So are you still home-based, I'm assuming?
I am. Yes.
Okay.
I am still home-based. Yes. So right now I do. Go ahead.
Do you have any help?
I do not. I am in the process of this. I feel like year 3 is where I'm going to start. That's a goal for that is a 2024 goal. And I had help I did a really big install for New Year's Eve at the St. Louis City Museum, and we did 3 balloon drops and a 25-foot garland. So I did have help with my balloon drops for that. And I think one of those girls will probably come on this year and just help with inflating. Yeah. I feel like from honestly listening to your podcast and talking to other balloon stylists, I feel like that is where I'd like to invest in some extra.
It was the easiest thing to hire, and it was the biggest thing off my plate. Like, if that makes sense. Like, it was not some super technical job that I had to train, but it saved hours and hours and hours. Like, I was inflating every night until like midnight. Like, I was also working full time, and it was just like, I had no time. So now these days where I'm like, what should I be doing? Like, I almost feel guilty.
Right. No, it's amazing though, because I feel like when I'm for sure. I feel like that is worth, it's like that and the babysitter are worth every penny you ever spend, because I feel like when I'm overwhelmed during really busy seasons, that is what kind of burns me out. Like everything else, the installs, going out, talking with clients, doing all of that is like fills my cup, and inflating when you have so much on your plate just seems so overwhelming. So,
and there's like only so much time you can trim off. Like, you can only be so efficient.
Right.
It just still takes time, you know, like at the end of the day, you're just like, there's no way to make this take no time.
Any less time. Well, and I also feel like if I did have somebody inflating, I would be a little bit more organized, because I feel like I could pull everything I need, give them the bag to inflate. And then that would also help me be more organized versus like looking at my walls of balloons and then pulling as I go kind of thing.
Totally. That is a good point. The second that I had other people relying on me, like, I got more organized, because it was like, they can't take it out of my head, you know? And that meant I was being a bit more efficient. And because, when you're the artist, you're like, I'll just use a little of this and a little of that. And all of a sudden you're like, just making it all up as you go and giving everyone extra free stuff. Yeah.
No, I feel that's it's a good place to grow for sure.
Well, so, okay, we are going to transition into talking about this Loons for Littles. We're going to take a break and then get into it, but give us a little taste, a little preview of what's coming. How would you explain this program in a nutshell?
So basically, it is donating balloon installs to Title I schools. And Title I schools are schools that have 90% of their student body qualifies for free and reduced lunch. So 90% of those kids qualify for free and reduced lunch. So it's in the like underserved areas, lower income areas, and it's kids I taught for 5 years in those areas. And then I taught another 5 years in Nashville, Tennessee, but I did in Chicago, Illinois. And they are truly, these children appreciate these balloons more than anybody I've ever seen. And actually this year I was blown away by the staff. I had staff coming up to me the whole time I was doing these installs saying like, thank you so much. This brings so much cheer into our school. So it's just really giving back to your community and giving back, I think, purposefully.
Very cool. So let's take a quick break, and then we will get into all of the logistics and how you have pulled this off because it's really amazing. So we'll be right back. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Havin A Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. Havin A Party Wholesale is on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients, from top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, PremiumConwin, and introducing Brookloon, a new latex balloon line created by the Havin A Party family. They've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at havinaparty.com. All right, let's get into it. Loons for Littles. You came up with this?
I did. I came up with this. Yes, I did come up with it. Actually, this year, my sister actually named it for me because my dream goal for this is that other people do it. So that I would love for this to be something that is done anywhere and everywhere. Anybody who's a balloon stylist can do it. And so I needed a name for it. I needed it to be called something in order for people to kind of use it, repeat it, hashtag it, whatever, however it looks in the future. It's just, that was my baby dream for this 3 years ago when I started it. So yeah, so that it's called Loons for Littles, and it is donated balloon installations for Title I schools.
And before people turn off this episode, don't, because I know you hear the word donated, but that doesn't mean money out of your pocket necessarily. So hang in there because I love how you've structured this. So give us the overview of how this works. How would we pitch this to a school?
So at first I feel like you pitch it to your clients. So once you have some sort of clientele with repeat customers, people like that, they are donating X amount of money for a balloon install. So if you would normally charge, so you're donating some of your time, but they are still paying you. So you are still getting paid for your materials and some of your time, depending on what you want it to be. I think that can be very tailored to where you live, how much you're willing to donate, things like that. So this past year, which was my most successful year, I went to 7 schools. My donations, for every $250 I raised, that was one school. So if I raised $250, I went to one school. If I raised $500, I went to 2 schools. And then we just went up and up and up until we were at 7 schools.
So if people are listening and you need something to like compare this to, I see this very similar to Adopt a Grandparent thing that was pretty popular mid-pandemic. So this was the same thing. People donated $10, $20, $30, and they knew that their money was going to be turned into a little balloon buddy and delivered to someone in an assisted living facility. So same thing. We weren't working for free, but we weren't just donating all the balloons because that's a lot of money out of your pocket. So this sounds very similar, but for kids and for bigger installs. And maybe you have like a little bit more freedom too, because it's not like a set install. You're like designing what you want to put in there, or do you show clients like what they're kind of donating for?
No, you totally have creative freedom on that. So you are, so it's not money totally out of your pocket. You're definitely still getting paid, and you can kind of set what you want that to look like. If you want to do $250 and then you do 10-foot garlands, or you do 15-foot garlands, or you just get there and you decide what you want to do with the space. The schools so far I call the school and say, hey, I have balloons I'd like to donate to your school. Can I come in on these 2 days? And I set the days. I make it work for my schedule. I can come in on the 15th and the 16th of December. Does this time work for you? And from my experience of working at Title I schools, they are extremely grateful for anything that they get. And they are extremely grateful for anything like this that can bring smiles to the kids' faces, to the staff. So they are very appreciative of whatever you want.
Yeah, because for them, it's totally free and no work and nothing to...
Correct.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's beneficial for a balloon stylist is you get to design it. So maybe you have a lot of extra hot pink that you're trying to get rid of and you need to work those colors in. You can always like design it however you want to a Christmas theme or winter theme or whatever. So sometimes you can get a little creative there too.
Have you had any pushback about latex allergies?
I have not.
Okay.
I have yet to encounter that.
Okay.
So.
I have 1 or 2 schools by me that are weird about it, but most of them aren't. But I know that a lot of people are concerned about latex. Don't assume that schools are anti-latex. Some of them have no worry, like they don't care at all. And then some of them do, but you could do a foil thing or something different.
Totally.
build your portfolio too is the part that I like about it. Instead of doing a styled shoot that benefits nobody, this at
Couldn't
least,
agree more.
this at least is like helps people feel happy, like
Yes.
people get to see it and enjoy it.
To the other piece of it that you don't understand until you start doing it, until you get into those schools, is how good you feel. Like you
Yeah.
leave those schools feeling so good because inevitably, always, there are students in the hallway. They always want to know whose birthday it is. Why are you there? And then you say, I'm just here for you. I'm here to give these balloons to you guys. And they're for me. And they feel so lucky and they feel so happy. And then you leave, like that to me is worth any amount of money, like the amount of the staff that thank you, the principals and the assistant principals. And it is also truly so easy to you just call like, hey, can I do this? Of course. Awesome. What
Yeah.
works for you? Like logistically, you're not getting any kind of anything,
Yeah.
feedback or negative,
Yeah.
feedback like that.
Very cool. And the other thing too that you've mentioned that I'm sure this was intentional, but the time of year, you're saying like December and January.
Yes.
And, I'm looking at my calendar in January and it's blank, like I have nothing. So I think it's smart too that, you do this when you're kind of slow. You're not offering this in June. Obviously there's no school
Right.
and we're swamped, but like, that's an interesting way too, to kind of build up your portfolio, use those days off, build some goodwill around the community. I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it is. This year, I had another girl in St. Louis who's another balloon stylist, and she went to three other schools. So total, we did 10, which just felt huge to just have other people who want to do it. And then knowing that those other people, I mean, she texted me afterwards, that was so fun. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this, and she catered it to was like closer to where she lived and made sense for her. She did it kind of her own style, her own thing. It looked different than mine, but the idea was still the same. The idea was still getting into schools, giving back. And yeah, I do think you can do it at any time. If you wanted to do like a New Year's, kind of raise the money in December and then do it during New Year's. I did it during Christmas, which my first year doing balloons, I was very slow during Christmas. And now 3 years deep, it was a lot to do.
Yeah.
So I do think I might tailor that a little differently. Also, typically at schools during like right around January, they have the 100th day of school. And so that is a really fun time to do balloons, especially like I taught kindergarten for 10 years. So in the kindergarten world, that's a huge deal. So that would be an easy sell too. If you do same as me, have like a very slow January, that would be a fun time to do that too.
Oh, that's a really good idea. And you could do 3 Mylar balloons that say 100, and then you could bring 100 helium balloons and just put on the ceiling. And even that would be so exciting for them. This is 100 balloons on your 100th day. Yeah.
Yeah. You could do you could. And that is like you were saying before, the creative freedom that you have. I feel like so many times I see so many fun things on Instagram and all these different things that I want to try and don't necessarily have the clients who want that yet. So then when you have the creative freedom to do whatever you want, it just lights your fire. It makes you excited to be doing it again. So
cool. All right. So then let's talk logistics a little bit. If someone is like, I think I want to do this, how are you actually asking your clients to donate, and how are you collecting that money and kind of keeping it like straight?
So I do think that is a little bit of a tricky piece. And I think it depends on how you are getting paid. If you're getting paid through Venmo or if you're doing credit cards, I do think that all looks different. My key thing was to have some sort of tagline. So every time they donated, they put Christmas cheer. So whether they're filling out a form or doing Venmo or however that works for you, I just had some sort of phrase that meant that money was just going towards that. So then when I went through all of my like Venmo or books, I was able to just pull out all that Christmas cheer money. And then I decided after I did it for about 2.5 weeks. I kind of this time gave myself a time frame. I also feel like people do better with a short amount of time. Like I'm raising this kind of money for the next 2 weeks and then we're done.
Yeah.
So that kind of gets people to do it quicker versus 2 months or a month or whatever. So then after that, I took the total money that I had and then I decided how many schools I went to. So I waited until I had my window of donating was closed. And once that was closed, then I had X amount of money. And that is how many schools that I decided to go to.
Cool. And I think you could definitely do something like, thanks to these people who made this school possible, or like one anonymous donor took care of this entire school. Like if you wanted an additional piece of accountability, that might be kind of fun.
Well, and I did on my Instagram, I tagged every donor in it and the pictures and the reels that I posted. And then another thing that I've done, which leaves it a little bit in the school's hands, so I'm not sure how, is I have left thank you notes for the kids to write with the donor's name, address, and stamped envelope
Oh,
for them.
cool.
So then the
Cool.
kids can, and typically when I was a kindergarten teacher in December, right before Christmas, I would take anything that I could, like draw a picture of the balloons in the hallway and we'll send it to these donors who donated it. I try to connect that piece too, so that the
Oh, that's
kids
really
know
cool.
that somebody is giving back and somebody cares about them enough to do this at their school. And then the donors get to see that as well, which is always a feel good thing for them.
Very cool. All
So
right,
I do try to give them all the credit that I can.
I love it. I love everything about it. Let's take one more break and then we're really going to talk about other people doing this. I want people listening to know what to say, if they need to contact you, the wording, like we'll get into the logistics of how someone can implement, because how cool if this happened all over the country.
Would be so fun.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff at Balloon Suite. I'm often asked if Balloon Suite is compatible with the systems that you already use in your business, your customer relationship manager, your accounting tool, the way that you're accepting leads on your website, or the phone call system that you're using to have a business number separate from your mobile number. The answer is almost always yes. So if you're thinking about using Balloon Suite, or if you've checked out our packages but you haven't started yet because you're wondering if Balloon Suite is compatible with the other systems you use in your business, I would love to help you get that defined, specific, clearly actionable answer. Come on over to balloonsuite.com, let me know what you're using, and we can help you figure out exactly how you're going to integrate that into your Balloon Suite package.
Okay, so I think this sounds amazing. If people are listening and they're like, I want to do this, what do they need to do so that it is Loons for Littles, so that it's above board? So, I mean, like, you're not like franchising this, right? Like people don't need to pay you money to have rights to do this.
Definitely not.
So like,
no.
What does someone do right now that's listening that's like, I want to do this? What's their first step?
I think their first step would be to email me and I can give you that contact information, or just to message me on Instagram, and then I can stay in contact with them and give them everything. What I did this year with my friend who did it in St. Louis is I gave her everything that I had already done. So I had made a Google form. It was just saying that that's what they wanted to do. Here was their information. If they wanted a thank you note, they left their address, just that type of Google form. I shared that with her. She was able to copy it. We kind of did similar Instagram stories at the same time, where I pretty much said, just copy everything I'm doing, but make it your own.
Yeah.
And then go from there. So definitely they could email me, they can message me on Instagram, and then I can give them that information. And closer to Christmas, like a year from now, it would be a dream come true to have, a handful of us who were doing it, and we could all like kind of start it at the same time, or kind of work together and see how big we could make this.
Yeah, count me in, because I also think that there is power in when you're looking for those donations to be like, this is a national thing that's happening.
Yes.
Like, this is not just me trying to get your money. This is us trying to be part of a bigger thing. Because that was really exciting during the adopt a grandparent thing, to show like this was happening everywhere. And it like started as a Facebook conversation, online, that, Liz Lamani was the first person I heard it from. And I was like, I'll do it. And then people messaged me like, how do you do this? So it was just cool that it just kind of caught on. So I think it's amazing. And it's very generous that you're sharing all the how-tos. And I want to be intentional and specific too about which schools. This isn't just all schools. You really want this to be the underserved schools, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, that is the one thing that is like the biggest piece of this whole thing for me, is to make sure that, so that would be a very intentional thing, is that whoever decides to do this, wherever they decide to do it, it's very different state to state and very different where people live and all of that. So it would be to make sure that we are doing it at Title I schools, and that those are true Title I schools with 90% free and reduced lunch. And what people can do is, if they know kind of an area of their city that they think is a underprivileged, low income area, they can call those schools specifically. I can help with that and help lead people in the right direction, but they can always call. I mean, what I ended up doing is calling schools and just before we even started it, I just want to confirm that you're a Title I school. They would say yes, or they would say, actually, no, we're not. And I would say, okay, thanks so much. That's what I'm looking to serve
So
right
in
now.
order to use that Loons for Littles name,
It has
I
to be
just
a
want to
Title I
clarify. Yeah,
school.
you're not donating balloons to the private school where everyone's paying $10,000 in tuition. Like,
Correct.
that is not who this is
Correct.
for. You can donate to whoever
Correct.
you want, but not under this name.
Yes. Yes.
Cool. And then you'll help set up kind of, I mean, you've already explained it really well, but it's that donation piece. And then, I mean, it's so straightforward. I don't even really have any questions about it. Are there other stumbling blocks that people might run into? Anything difficult that you weren't anticipating?
No, the only thing I do think is just to find those Title I schools. I
Okay.
think because you do have to, and that would be the other piece that people would need to think about. I think after doing it and also from teaching at those schools, I feel like it will be so beneficial for the balloon stylist as well as the kids. I think it's such an incredible learning opportunity, but you are going to probably neighborhoods that you may or may not be comfortable or familiar going into. So it will could, depending on live or what you're doing, look different than what you're used to. So that is just something to keep in mind and to pay attention to. But that just to make sure that those are the schools that you're going to and to know that you are truly going to be bringing a lot of joy to them. And it might be like a part of the town that you're not very comfortable typically being at, but you might only be there for 20 minutes and it's going to change a lot of kids' Christmas. So,
And it might be beneficial too to team up with other balloon companies. Like if it's something you're uncomfortable doing by yourself,
right,
like maybe bring
right.
a friend.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think I think that part is intimidating at the beginning.
Mhm.
And then once you do it, it becomes very much, much less intimidating. So, and I'm happy to always talk to anybody about that or talk a little bit deeper into that or talk through that with people. And yeah, that would be like one of the only pieces there.
Very
But
cool.
the other thing I think could be very beneficial too is I am happy to, now that this is my third year doing it, people, if they wanted to, I share a lot of my clients get a lot of information through my Instagram. So if people wanted to share what I have already done, like, hey, this is what we're doing. There's a girl in St. Louis who does it. Here's all of what she's already done. This is kind of what it's going to look like. They could reshare my stories. They could use my pictures. I am happy. And my whole goal with all of this is to just have more people putting balloons in Title I schools. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to, it doesn't matter to me. As long as you're out there putting balloons in schools, the rest of it, use my pictures, use whatever to get there. Let's just get there kind of thing.
Hey listeners, before we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Balloon Guild. Do you ever see amazing balloon decor online and wonder, how did they make that? The Balloon Guild is revolutionizing the industry by standardizing recipes, SOPs, and offering unparalleled training. Their mission? To elevate balloon artists worldwide, ensuring efficiency, profitability, and unparalleled professionalism. For business owners and their teams, the Balloon Guild isn't just a resource, it's a game changer for growth and development. For me, it's been the ultimate shortcut in finally getting things out of my head and onto paper, so I'm not making things up on the fly, and so my team can work together to create consistent, fast decor. Visit their platform today at theballoonguild.com or by using the link in the show notes. New recipes and resources are released every month. That's awesome. Well, let's wrap up with that. Where can people find you and your pictures? Remind us of your Instagram again.
So my Instagram is actually Lou, LOU_balloons. So
right.
Lulu Balloons. And then my email is luluballoonsco@gmail.com.
Very cool. Well, I'm sure you will have a lot of people reaching out, and I can't wait to be involved. I think this sounds amazing. And
thank you so much. I'm so excited to finally share it. Yeah, thank you.
And congratulations. I mean, this is something big that you didn't have to do, that you started on your own. I think that's really awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share. And I can't wait to see what we all do with this in the next year here.
Yeah, I can't wait either. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.